Hi. I can get this plugged in. There we go. Yeah, no, I realize that it's more than a bit behind today. We're good. Stuff going on and whatnot. Needed to go do some stuff in the yard for the folks, so there we go. Hi. And looks like a couple minutes ago, all Odie just followed, so thank you very much for that. Welcome in. Alright, so, hello. How you doing? I figured Sherlock was a valid choice for today, being the whole, like, murder mystery element of this whole thing there. So, like, a new book. Kind of really enjoying it so far, honestly. Alright. So, anyone who is new to Botany Book Club, my name's Rin, and on Mondays, we go through however many chapters, sections, whatever, of the current, selected text and have a discuss. So, we're starting on The Serpent's Tale, as you can see from the title bit up yonder there, and the book title book cover, there we go, book cover off to the side. So, yeah. Anyone have... Anyone have anything to add in before we get started? Sounds like... Yes. Quite a decent shirt choice there. Cause like, just just saying, right? I mean, now, oh yeah, I got used to not having it because, yeah, there we go. Got used to not having it because we were doing a nonfiction last time, but okay. Just added a warning for spoilers in the title and up yonder there. Okay. There we go. We had a question and then forgot. It's fine. It's fine. I will say I was thrown for a second because there's a mention of them having beaver pelts that they gotten from trappers in here, chapter 3. Yeah, I think that was chapter 3. So we'll get to that in a bit. So I had to look it up and somehow forgot that Eurasian beavers were a thing. I mean, they were extinct. Beavers have been reintroduced to the area in the last couple years. But yeah, there's that. Also, just like, I realized that the assassin from the prologue here has not yet made a return by the end of chapter 3. I'm presuming that we're gonna see that character again at some point, but like when the whole thing is started by someone just being so done with everything, like, right, okay, so I mean, you're paying me to do this, so okay, but yeah. What's a fen, and how is it different from other wetlandscapes like marshes, bogs, wetlands? How are they different? Okay. One sec. Let me get this open. 1 second. That's the wrong window. Okay, there we go. Yeah. Beavers. Because I already had that one open, so there we go. Yeah, alright. So, yeah. Beavers. Anyway, now that is just the most graceful of poses, right there. Okay. Come on. Okay. One of the main types of fens are one of the main types of wetlands, along with marshes, swamps, and bogs. Okay, here we go. Come on. No, you don't want to open. Okay. Bogs and fens, both peat-forming ecosystems, are also known as mires. The unique water chemistry of fens is a result of the ground or surface water input. Typically, the input results in higher mineral concentrations and more basic pH than found in bogs. Okay. As peat accumulates in a fen, groundwater input can be reduced or cut off, making the fen ombrotrophic rather than minerotrophic. In this way, fens become more acidic and transition to bogs over time. Okay, so it's a progression in the state of it. The majority are located at high latitudes in the northern hemisphere, dominated by sedges, mosses, and graminoids. Okay. Come on. Herbaceous plants that are kind of grass-like. Yeah. Yeah. Right. There we go. Yes. Yes. Beavers are indeed awesome. Yeah, Sakari is so over it. Just so done. So done. With all of the nobility and their stupid shenanigans. Yeah. Yeah, so they're different types of wetlands. The different names, by and large, just kind of denote slight variations. For the majority, it sounds like it's just a pH difference and maybe like a location. What kind of mineralization tends to happen in that particular region. that sort of thing. They all essentially function the same way, but they don't necessarily have the same preservative properties, shall we say. Which is why eventually a fang would become a bog, because the bogs are, peat forms and stuff, and tend to perhaps preserve organic material a bit better than the fen would. And it might be like just, it would still preserve it, it would just be like at a slightly lower rate, maybe. So there we go. Oh yes. Ow. And also, today's drink of choice, aside from the water bottle over here, we've got some, there we go, some matcha tea. So no idea how this one tastes. I have not tried it yet, but we'll see. Smells and kind of tastes like oranges, not gonna lie. Which kind of makes sense if it's like there's wildflower honey in there. It would depend on where the wildflowers are, but I know orange honey is a thing that keepers use sometimes. Also, very much matcha. Yes. Anyway, so as we were saying, as Sherlock's just kind of peeking over the end of the screen there. All right. So, yeah. Matcha's not our favorite tea. Yeah, it depends. I have to be in a particular mood to want to drink it most of the time. Usually because it tends to be a little bit sweeter than I go for. Because, straight black tea is my usual, or like dandelion or something. But there we go. Alright. So, any other pressing questions before we jump into the shenanigans that are contained herein? It's like, I will say, I usually when I'm reading historical fiction, there's like visible timestamps in there, so it's like in the year of our Lord 1259, blah 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 blah, or like 1800 thing, or whatever. But for this, they very, like, she very visibly denotes when it's supposed to occur, but not like with a year, and that's cool, because like, if you don't know the history, it makes you go and look it up. It's not just like, this year in this place. Because invariably, this year in this place only gives you this year in this place. But if you have it in the context of, like, the Stephen and Matilda Wars, and then you have to go and look up when that would have been, because it's a historical fiction, so high likelihood that that would be a thing that would have actually existed. So, like, oh right, the 1100s. All right, okay, we're good. Henry II. Okay, there you go. So, like, alright. That's the kind of timestamps that I'm into. Like, which, incidentally, the other, yeah, the other big, like, historical fiction that I read was, like, the Apothecary, or the Lost Apothecary. And that's one of the ones that has the, like, date, year, person story. Next chapter. Date, year, person story. It's never like, at the time that this was happening, blah 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 blah. Which, for some people I know works. There was a lot that didn't with that one for me, honestly. But it was well-ish written on that one. Anyway. The Serpent's Tail. So, I've got a few things marked in here. When? Oh, it was from 2008. Okay. Nice. I saw a mention of the cover, and now I can't find it. I thought that was Ariadne. Yeah. All right. Okay. The cover art, woman Ariadne in Naxos, 1877, oil on canvas, by Evelyn de Morgan. Yeah. So we've got. Oh, where is it? Okay. I was telling a British friend about this book and was like, it's set when Eleanor of Aquitaine was queen, and they had no idea. Oh no. No. It's just sad. Like, I mean, once, like, honestly, they were talking about the Stephen and Matilda Wars, and I had no idea. And then they were talking about Henry II, so, like, right. I know there's a big gap between the 2nd and the 8th. Like, I know that much. It's been a while since since I was looking at stuff like that. But, like, there's an English king, or there's a king in place, so in theory it's past, especially because there was talk of Normandy. So, like, all right, it's post 1066. But, like, it didn't register that Eleanor would be connected to anything until it was like, Eleanor, of Aquitaine. Like, right, okay, when were, oh, yes. 1100s, okay. No, because, like, I totally forgot that Eleanor was married to Henry II after Louis was weird and stuff. There's 2 other mystery series we enjoy set circa Stephen and Matilda Wars. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, no, because usually, like, most of the ones that I've seen that have that, like, mystery element, the farthest back it goes is, like, the Regency period, which is great and all, but, like, also. Like, I'm good for a nice, like, I don't know. That being said, I haven't seen any outside of a certain number of, like, shows, but, like, I don't know, the Viking era murder mystery, you know? Which, admittedly, that's murder mystery and magic is kind of the entirety of Merlin, so there we go. Which, admittedly, I realize is part of why I like it so much. That and just the character interactions. Cadfell and Michael Jacks last night's Templar series. Viking murder mystery with magic. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Just like, it's like modern. There's a whole lot, right? From, 1900s on, everything was kind of like, oh, yes, this is Sherlock. Right, okay. Eh. But like that wait. Wolfskin has a second part? It does. It does. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I have Wolfskin, but being that I know me and I know that, like, if it's available, then I just power through a series, and if it's not, then I get halfway through and either forget that it exists or get all sad and stuff, and then don't finish it. So, like, somewhere around here on one of my shelves, I have Wolfskin, but I got it before Fox Mask came out. And I've never read it. So, there we go. Alright. Okay. That's on the list of things now. Definitely. Yeah. Alright. uh, yeah, no, seriously, like, Vikings, murder mystery, magic, snark, yeah, all the things. Yes, yes. Either, both, whichever, of the list there. Yeah, no, totally. Huh. Totally forgot that was a thing, and I'm seeing something that I need to adjust after stream. Alright, there we go. Okay, one sec. I'm gonna mute for a bit. Okay, so fabulous. Fabulous. Just lovely tails at Victoria. Yes! Yes! Yeah, no, there's a few, right? There's a few that I've gotten over the years, and it was supposed to be the first in a series, or the first in, like, a trilogy or something. And I got the first one, and read it, and then it took like 5 years for the next one to come out, and by that point it's just like, not really into this anymore, you know? Or there's. I always have a hard time pronouncing the Chinese. It's Qin. I want to say it's Chin, sign, but it's a sign of the Chin, I think. And it was supposed to be like a 3 or 5 part series. As far as I know, that's the only one that's ever been released. But I have a hardcover version in there somewhere. Still have not read it. Yeah, Wheel of Time. Yeah, like, that's one that I haven't read, but I know there's a lot of people that are really into Wheel of Time. Yeah, I'm just totally a Lord of the Rings ripoff anyway. Yeah, that's kind of the vibe. Which, incidentally, I've seen the films. I don't know how many times by this point, but Lord of the Rings is another one that I haven't actually read yet. Which, from the annoyance about some of the battle sequences in the films, I kind of want to read just to, see the difference there. But, yeah. No, I believe it. Ow. Yeah. Alright. Okay. Alright, so, side tangents and whatnot. Close the breath. Yeah. Part of it is that I've noticed if, A lot of times if I read before I watch it, then it's fine. But if I watch it before I read it, then it doesn't work so well. It depends on how it's done though. And it also depends on the copy that I've got. Because, like, if it's audio, then it's fine regardless. Depending, as we have explored in other instances, like, sometimes audio only is not the best. But for Lord of the Rings, the copy that I have is the what is it? Which one had just come out? It was in high school. I forget if it was especially for the Fellowship of the Ring or Two Towers, because I don't remember when the films came out, but because of that, the copies that I have like the film cast on the covers and have like a periodic character inserts in the book itself, and it's the smaller like mass market paperback, so it's got a stiffer spine anyway, and then there's like the glossy pictures like randomly in there. So yeah. If I went back and tried to read it now, I'd probably be fine, but something about the whole thing didn't work for high school me, and they're, again, in the closet over there somewhere. So there's a duology we were going to reread for the Magical Readathon and got so confused because all the stuff online erroneously says it's a trilogy. That's not cool. Our problem is we grew up with the original BBC recordings of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, and the current narrator is therefore substandard. I don't know why I'm surprised that the BBC did recordings of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. That should not be surprising. But somehow I kind of am. It's like, it's Tolkien. Of course it's, yeah. Alright. Yeah, no, that, yeah. I can see that. I can totally see that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no. I know, like, what is it? Audible, there we go. Has those, like, you're part of the Audible setup, so therefore you get, a certain section of the site is free to listen to and stuff. And one of them is the complete works, or the complete series of Sherlock Holmes. That, on the one hand, I kind of want to crack open, because, you know, Stephen Fry as a narrator is interesting. But it's also 63 hours. And I know me, and I would just sit there and listen to the whole thing, um, back to back, uh, and that's not great. Just as a thing. So there's that. uh, uh, yeah. Yeah. I still find it kind of, like, sort of sadly hilarious that Doyle was so annoyed that he created Sherlock that he just killed him off, and then, like, everyone rioted, so he was just generally mad about it. Fried does a fab job, but we've realized Sherlock is an asshole and can't stand him. Yeah, fair. Fair. Yeah, at least in the original. Pretty much. Like, I don't remember, like, I got partway through. Wait. I got. Where was I? I needed something to read on the bus going to fieldwork during the Masters. So figured, you know what would work for this? So, like, I think I was trying to read The Hound of the Baskervilles on, like, going from Canterbury to wherever it was that I was going at that point. I can't remember. It was somewhere just outside of Wales. And between the lighting and the bus shaking everywhere and just, like, not jiving with the writing style so much, didn't. But I can't remember if I had a physical copy or if it was an audio or what. Because, like, I don't have that anymore. It might have just been on my phone, I don't know. But yes, the fabulous bookmark of awesome right here. Wait, come on. Come on. Are you stuck? Seriously? There we go. Seriously, this is just fabulous. It really is. Thank you. Thank you muchly again, Honeycomb, for that and just generally being awesome and yeah. One second. Yeah. Yes. It has a nice little floof. Alright. As I say that, it's trying to fall out the other end. No. Stay. There you go. Alright. So. Just like everything about this, honestly. Just the dedication, right? Like, even with that, to Dr. Mary Lynch, MD, consultant cardiologist, my literally heartfelt thanks. It is well deserved, Horn Newton Honeycomb. You're awesome. And much appreciate. And thank you for the hugs. Hugs for you too. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Alright. Now. So we've got like back to the book, right? Just I just have to appreciate a character who, like, just page one of the entire thing, just like so done with all of them, just like so done. uh, but yeah, being that we're only, yay far in, uh, obviously don't know what's happening in the rest of it, but I'm looking forward to Sicarius popping back in, because presumably he and his snarky self are gonna, show again. Alright. Not gonna lie, right? The description in here, you can almost hear, like, do you not realize I'm a professional assassin? Like, yes, yes, you standing over there in the corner with your, like, sword that you're too shaky to actually wield, like, alright, you can be, like, protector and whatever right now, like, alright, have fun. I mean, I could kill you, like, 20 different ways before you, said anything, but alright. You can have your little, feeling of protection over there. Whatever. And just the description, though, like, oh yes, just to make sure that I know what you want me to do, I need you to tell me what it is that you need me to do again, so, like, there you go. I mean, I don't really need him to say anything, because, like, I already memorized it the first time, but, like, the second time, it lets me, like, pick up on vocal cues so I can pick him out of a crowd if he decides to not pay me so I can kill him. As you do. Ah. But yeah, like, not, yeah, as you do. Eh, all in a day's work as an assassin, like. Oh, man. Alright, so, for chapter 1, right? Chapter 1, when they were describing, uh, who was it? Rosalind? Rosalind? Where is it? Henry II's mistress, whatever her name was. Rosamund, there we go. Okay. Sounded a lot like Strychnine. Yeah, like, it sounded like either something like Strychnine or like from the first, like, I don't know, if you take out the poisoning aspect, it sounded like possession almost, because like you've got a bunch of nuns sitting around her and stuff. But yeah, it sounds like strychnine, even though it's apparently mushrooms, which symptoms can mimic other things, obviously. And then it also depends on how the person's system reacts to it. So there's that. But yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I know it's a plot point and stuff, and it's probably gonna be referenced at some later point in the story, but like, that poor cat is just chilling, trying to be happy and hunt mice and stuff, and ah, poor kitty. How accurate's the description of poisoning by this mushroom? That not entirely sure. Yes, that was not okay. Yeah, exactly. Like that. Hope we warned you in time. Yeah, no, that. Yeah, yeah. No, you're good. You're good. The warning was appreciated on that one. So yeah, chapter one. For anyone watching not already aware, chapter 1, page 11, there's, well, 10 and 11. There's some very much not good that happens to a cat. So, you've been warned. Yeah. Actually, okay, one sec. Where was it? It's. Where was the bit about. Okay, yeah, it was the last part of 2. The death cap. It also depends on all right. Sorry, I know I was in the middle of a thought, and then another thought jumped into it. One sec. Okay. Okay. Just because it's mentioned several times, with the with the uh, medieval medical school in Salerno. Became more and more important in the 10th century and was best known in the 11th. In the middle of the 12th century, it was at its apogee. And Salerno provided a notable contribution to the formulation of a medical curriculum for medieval universities. So, founded in the 9th century. Okay, alright. So, at this point, most medical knowledge, well, a lot of medical knowledge with, anatomy and stuff, would have been, like Arabic in origin. And at this particular university, this particular school, really, the Arabic would have been translated into Greek and Latin and stuff, so it could be more utilized. So Hippocrates, Galen, and Discordes was supplemented and invigorated by Arabic medical practice, known from context with Sicily and North Africa. Yep. Okay. And in conflict with what the church wanted, both men and women were allowed to enroll as medical students. Totally thought you'd have all the mushrooms mentioned already queued up. I thought about it and it didn't happen, so yeah, there we go. Alright. Google. Yes. Alright, here we go. So, come on. Yeah, if it's an Amantia, yeah, you're probably dead if you eat it. Just a thing. Okay, so part of the issue that is mentioned in the text, and part of the issue with the plant, the mushroom itself, is that death caps or death cap Amantia, Amantia phallides, are found uh, pretty much everywhere at this point. They're naturally found like throughout Europe, and they've kind of expanded their range since then. So there we go. And yeah, so it's got amantin as the main toxic constituent that damages liver and kidneys, causing liver and or kidney failure. And currently, it can be fatal if it's not treated. At the time that this would have been occurring, it most definitely would be fatal because, like, I mean, the church was still thinking that people conducting autopsies was witchcraft. So, like, I don't know. I don't know about that. But there we go. Yeah. So in the description here, we've got sickness and diarrhea at first, abdominal pain, and then in a day or two, she'd seem to be recovering. But all the while, the poison was attacking her liver and kidneys. There's absolutely no cure. Okay, so that seems to be pretty on par with what the mushroom is known for, right? It depends on how intense the abdominal pain is, how prolonged it is, and how kind of what the person's pain threshold is as to whether or not the description on page 1 here would be on par with the description of the prospective poison. At this point in the story, we don't know specifically if that is in and of itself what she died of, but that is the prospective diagnosis, especially because what's her name? Especially because Adelia doesn't know what happened at the point around her death at that point. Just that she was doing really bad, things got better, and then she died. So, yeah. Which is that one of the? Is this one of the ones with the false starts or the false recovery takes place? one of the most poisonous of all known mushrooms. It's estimated that as little as half a mushroom contains enough toxin to kill an adult human. Okay. Possibly. Okay. It's been involved in the majority of human deaths from mushroom poisoning, possibly including the deaths of Emperor Claudius, AD 54, Holy Roman Emperor Charles the Sixth in 1740. It's been subject of much research. Many of its biologically active ingredients have been isolated. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so Amatia Phalides group species comparison. And the pause a bit ago was because I'm pretty sure at least one of these was mentioned in The Firekeeper's Daughter as a potential additive that was being mixed with the meth to make it more potentially hazardous, but don't remember which one it is. I don't have the notes with me right now. So we've got Mantia, of course. Mantia Philides, I think, is this one. On the end there. Come on. Psychoactive. Yeah. Yeah, no, for those ones, it's definitely more the psychoactive side of it. But I remember one of them being more potentially poisonous than psychoactive, so I don't remember on that one. Alright. So yeah. We'll see how that pans out. Now where are okay, there we go. Bullets. Okay, so the bullet would just be the type of. Okay, at which point it's bullets that the English called slippery jack. So it's a type of mushroom that the English called the slippery jack. So bullets can be identified thanks to a unique mushroom cap. The cap is clearly different from the stem. On the underside of the cap, there's usually a spongy surface with pores instead of gills. Some bullets are gilled, but not all of them. So yeah, that's definitely a different variant. Okay. So That's not what I meant. Okay. No, 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 no. There we go. Okay. Solidus, moodius, most widespread in the summer and autumn. Commonly referred to as a slippery jack or sticky bun. It's edible, though it's not as highly regarded as others. But it's good in soups or stewed. So we've got that. Come on. Oh, okay. So it's just a variant of oyster mushrooms. Yeah, alright. Yeah, no, that's fair. Oyster mushrooms aren't my favorite, admittedly. Like, they're alright. And I know there's people that really like them and stuff. From the couple of times that I've had them, they're a little bit tougher than I'd like. But if you're foraging for stuff and you can identify it properly, once again, if you can't ID it without a shadow of a doubt, don't eat it. Alright? Just putting that out there once again, because we're talking poisons and stuff, and like people not being able to identify things properly. Other people being lazy and just going with it. Like, what, cauliflower? This is the first that I'm saying of cauliflower mushrooms. What? Okay. Spiraceus, also known as cauliflower mushroom, is a genus of parasitic and saprophobic mushrooms characterized by their unique shape and appearance. Usually get their nutrients from buried roots of dying and dead trees. Excuse me. Okay. So, Come on. Alright. Well, so that's, yeah. The manatees grow pretty much everywhere. Slippery Jack, I think it said, likes forested areas. Oyster mushrooms grow on the sides of trees or down trees, whichever. Cauliflower mushrooms grow like along root systems that are decomposing. Bluets. Also edible. From the genus Cadaspe, the wood bluet and the field bluet, or blue leg, both species are treated by some authorities as belonging to the genus Lipsa. Okay. Both are regarded as edible, but they're known to cause an allergic reaction in sensitive individuals, particularly if the mushroom is consumed raw, though the reactions are known even from cooked bluets. Okay. Have a strong flavor, smells faintly of aniseed, and is good in stews or fried and stuff. Alright. Okay, come on. Come on. Ow. Jeez. Come on. And then... Is there just the one left? Hedgehog. Yeah. That one I know I've heard of. Okay, yeah. So for that one, hedgehog or sweet tooth, perhaps the most foolproof to identify of all wild mushrooms. Alright. If you can't ID it without a shadow of a doubt, don't eat it. Yes. Yes, yes. Exactly. Hedgehog mushroom, the safer chanterelle. If it would actually scroll, and we could look at the pictures. Okay, I know it's just how the mushroom develops and stuff, but like, just visually, there's something like unsettling about how the underside of the cap is on this particular right here, like with the toothed underside there. I don't know if it's because I'm so used to seeing the regular gills on mushrooms or what, but like that's got a kind of uncomfy, it looks like it went off sort of vibe to it. I don't know. Basically, I don't want to eat it, really. The woods are full of teeth right now. Not only lion's mane starting to ferociously flush, but hedgehogs are popping up along moist riverbeds. Okay. Alright, so, yeah. There we go. Yeah. So, what they're meaning is that it's kind of like a chanterelle mushroom, but like, if you look at this, we've got the chanterelle in the middle, and the jack-o'-lantern on the side here, and they're kind of similar. They look sort of similar, but the jack-o'-lantern is death, and the chanterelle is not. Versus the hedgehog over here that has a completely different gill pattern. So, like, it's a lot easier to ID on that one. So, yeah. Ooh, tiny mushrooms. Tiny mushrooms. Alright. Interesting there. Yeah. But, the Hindum Repandum is this guy. And over on the side here, it's saying that it was first described by Linnaeus in 1753. Which, knowing botanical what's-its and everything, could... Really? Let me get back to the page, dang it. Come on. There we go. Alright. But knowing botanical what's-its and all that could just mean that it wasn't scientifically ID'd until that point, because the binomial system hadn't been developed yet. And that's probably what it's referring to, because most of the binomial Latinate description is attributed to Linnaeus. So the shroom names could be anachronisms. Yeah, basically. Ow. But just like, we went to go do this thing and we discovered this, and like all the locals are just sitting there like, you didn't discover shit, dude. We've been using this for the last like 2,000 years. What are you talking about? Like, whenever I hear or like read accounts where it's like, this person discovered this that was used by these like random ladies in the middle of nowhere, it's like, you might have given it an additional name, but like, you didn't discover anything. You might have brought it to the attention of a wider audience, but like, also. Just saying. Okay. So, there's that. But yeah, like, on the note of, the mushrooms and whatnot, right? It depends here, right? In the text, it says, a lazy servant out gathering them, or mushrooms, for a mistress, had been handed some by an old, unidentified woman, a crone, and had taken them back without bothering to pick more. So, if the servant was the one just gathering supplies, that's something altogether. But it depends, because kitchen, and then individual lords, ladies, whoever, individual important people in that location have their own retinue of people. So either servant was being lazy, someone handed them mushrooms and said, yes, this right here, this is only for your employer. Like, this right here, yes, I'm not gonna tell you who I am or what these are, but like, you need to feed them to your person. Like, which I realize, right? I realize if you're being lazy and you just want to get out of work for the day, like, alright, but, that's a big red flag right there. That would set off some alarm bells, not gonna lie, but like, also, I don't know. I don't know about that. If Rosamund was that fond of mushrooms, you'd think Dackers would have ID'd the poison ones during cooking prep. Yeah, like, that's the other part. Like, who was the one actually preparing this thing? Because if it was, like, the random servant, like, that could be a thing. But if she was that fond of mushrooms, it would be pretty evident which ones are not from the area. Which ones, like, even if the person doesn't know the mushrooms that are there initially, like, in what's being presented, if you know what's in your area because you've routinely prepared them for however long that she's been there, you would notice the ones that were outliers. You know? Even if it's like, because there's some mushrooms, just like with certain plants and stuff, that, like, if you're cutting into them, there's a certain, like, tingle that happens on your fingers because there's a toxin in there. Or uh, there's a different smell, or there's a different color, and if it's something that you're making all the time because your person likes it all the time, then like if the ingredients are behaving weird, like you should be able to key into that, you know? And with how like hawk-like Dackers was, with how they were, uh, overseeing everything, like, you would think that she'd be the one to prepare it, you know? You know? Because, like, just that vibe that I'm getting from the situation. If she feels secretly guilty, that makes sense of makes sense of some of Dacker's weirdness. Yeah, like, if she feels guilty either because she wasn't paying attention to what it was, or like even just, if she'd had someone prepare something and didn't check it or whatever, if like regardless of what point in the process the potential guilt would be from, it seems like there's something there, you know? Uh, Especially if she's going to the trouble of killing the cat to try and save her. Honestly, like, that poor cat. Just, uh, didn't even go to the trouble to kill the cat before shoving him in the thing. Um, yeah. And the interaction between Rolly and Moment of silence for cat, yes. Moment of silence for the cat. Alright. Yes, indeed. All of the catting modes. All of the catting modes. Alright. And we carry on. The relationship between Adela and I mean everybody else really is interesting. But specifically where's his name? Rolly? Yeah, Rolly. Um is interesting. Like it there's enough of like a backstory sort of bit in there that I even checked to see if like it was part 2 of something, but it looks like it's not, so I don't know. But yeah, Rolly's reaction to his daughter is just adorable. Like, serious. Uh, It's just kind of awesome. Where is it? What's... Yes, this book is the second in the series. Aha! That would make sense. That would make sense. But we accidentally started with it ourselves and had more cool plant things. Fair. Honestly fair. Yeah, and there's some books that it just starts you off, and like if you have no previous knowledge of anything, it makes no sense and you're lost, and but there's enough like backstory in there that like I can work with it. I might go back and read the first part, but it looks like it's a contained mystery in and of itself, and the previous one is just referenced, so we're good. We're good on that. Franklin hits a nice balance there without boring series refers to tears. Yeah, exactly. Come on. Yeah, serious readers. Yeah. Yeah. Ow. I do appreciate in here too, like with that relationship, like he wanted to marry her, but they both knew that if she was married, she'd be expected to only have that role and not continue as a physician and like the phrase used is doctor of the living and dead, but I think the comparative to now would be like a I watch crime shows all the time and can't remember it. This is sad. Wow. Okay. All that's coming to mind is mortuary analyst, and that is not it. Medical examiner. There we go. Wow. Ah. So, she's basically a medieval medical examiner. And also, physician. Forensic pathologist works too, yeah. Yeah. definitely works. Especially like in this time period, women as doctors wasn't a thing in English society, or pretty much anywhere outside of certain pockets. Any kind of autopsy was seen as desecration of the body, and especially if a woman was conducting it, or a woman was setting themselves up as a medical professional, they'd be seen as practicing witchcraft or some other inane thing. Which is why, aside from like Rowley and her own people, what's his name? Starts with an M and I can't remember it. Son? No. Mansour. Yeah. Aside from like her people and Rowley, Mansour is introduced as the doctor, and Adelia is introduced as the assistant to maintain the illusion that, the women folk are just, there to assist the men folk with the medical things, even though he's her assistant. And assistant, friend, whatever. So, yeah. Yeah. It's like it's interesting, really, There's times that I'm reading something, regardless of whether or not it was written now, or if it was actually contemporary to the time that it would have been taking place. And yeah, bodyguard. Yeah. Friend, bodyguard, all around, cool dude from the sounds of it. And it's like, especially if it's something that you can see the author trying to make a point that, like, characters aren't treated as they should be based solely on background or gender, identity expression, class, whatever. Especially if it's like written contemporary to when the commentary is happening. It's interesting to read it now, and there's some things that it's like, just like with artists and stuff, there's a lot of artists historically who never had actual success, or were seen as not trying hard enough, or weren't as intelligent as some of their contemporaries or whoever until after their death, like, Van Gogh and whatnot. And just like if they could see some of what is currently a thing for like social issues and whatever. Yeah. It's interesting. Alright. And I gotta blow my nose again. Okay. One sec. But yeah, I was thinking it was probably the second part because, it's got best-selling author of Mistress of the Art of Death on there. So there we go. Yeah. I don't know. But then also with the whole like contemporary to the period thing, there's a lot of issues, like especially with certain things, there's a lot of texts that would not have been able to be published if it was phrased a certain way, or like the person would have been like tried for some trumped up charge if it was actually published, like Dorian Gray over here. So there's that too. Anyway. Uh the audio version, Rolly gushing over his daughter's delightful. Yeah. Yeah, no, like there's certain times, right, when like when you can hear the excitement, even if it's just text, and yeah, that right there. Oh yes, very nice. Like, where is? Yeah, there we go. That's the line. Any fool can have a son. It takes a man to make a daughter. Like, which honestly is kind of the exact opposite to what you usually hear in historical fiction. It's always like, oh, we have a daughter. Well, I'm virile, so I should be making sons. Haha. Like, sir, sir, calm down. Like, which again, like, for from the description in here, Rolly comes from, would it be the peasant class at that point? Probably, yeah. Comes from like the lower caste, and is now a bishop. So, from the sounds of it, like, the whole inheritance thing doesn't seem to be as much of an issue in that respect as it would for some other folks. But just like women can't be doctors, or they're accused of witchcraft, which is stupid in and of itself. And like, if a woman in power marries, then her husband becomes ruler of her territories. Like, in a lot of respects, women weren't allowed to inherit. I think there might have been a few instances where that was kind of dealt with, but by and large, women weren't allowed to inherit. So you've got like all of that taking place at the same time, and this guy who technically shouldn't have a kid, who's just like gushing all over the place and is awesome and adorable and fabulous. Rolly used to be Henry's tax agent and undercover investigator. Yeah. There's a point in here where Glytha is talking about how Rolly remembers the Stephen and Matilda wars, and how he grew up with part of that, and how his parents lived through it, and his parents being poor, lower class people got the brunt of it, just like she and her folk did. So that's where that's coming from. How much do you love Cliff's attitude? Seriously. Like, honestly, like, what is it? What's his name? I know it's probably not gonna happen, just because, but like, fanfiction brain here, right? Just, because because characters having conversations with characters that they've never canonically met is a thing. I kind of want to see a conversation somewhere between Sicarius and Glytha, just as a thing, right? I just as a thing. Oh, I has so much attitude and it's amazing. Okay. Also, just as a Giltha? Giltha, there we go. Yeah, yeah. Because that's how it's spelled in the text, so I'm thinking it's Giltha. Yeah. Yeah, no worries. No problem. Yeah, that'd be hilarious. And Giltha would pawn. Yes. Yes, she would. She is amazing. Oh, God. Seriously. Yeah. I do also appreciate in here that, like, Adelia is going through it and keeps going between being mad at Rolly for leaving and then mad at herself for telling him to leave because, like, they both agreed that she needed to continue being a doctor and that wouldn't be a thing if they got married, so therefore he needed to leave to go do stuff and things. And like, because in a lot of books, it's he left. I mean, I told him to leave, but like, how could he? And in here, it's like, even just in a couple of pages, it's like, how can he do that? I mean, I told him to, so like, I get it. But also, like, I realize that it's not his fault because things, but I'm also mad and like she's working it out in her brain and yes, character development and things on that. And yeah. So there's that. Also, right, but I wanted him to defy me and be dumb because love, like, right? How could he stop loving me? Like, I mean, I told him to leave and I never wanted to see him again, but like, how? But like, I get it. Seriously. Like, I get it. Like, right? Like, dude was taking your wishes into account, so chill. Oh. Seriously. Uh. Also, just side note, right? Can we just take a pause and appreciate uh the little aspects of this thing, right? Like like I don't know how well it's gonna pick up on here, but like the N right here, right? It's very definitely like a drawn script, but there's a little like bit on the cross part of the end where it looks like a quill nib just kind of like bled ink a little bit on one side, which happens annoyingly frequently when you're using that kind of pen. Like, and it's the same with the cover for the S and stuff. So the S has a bit of the feathering, and the rest of it is pretty constant. So the for the and the S, where is it? The S, it does that, and then the rest of it is just typeface. So yeah, very cool. We're guilty of sometimes telling people to go away, wanting them not to. I mean, yeah, no, like, which I totally get, because like there's a certain element that's like self-sabotage, and there's a certain element that's like, no, I'm an independent person, I will do the thing, but like also, where are you going? Which I get, I totally get, alright? And yes, authenticity, it's great, I like it, I like it. So yeah, exactly. I was flipping through to see like where the next point that I wanted to make was. Got to a page and all I saw was it? He'd not say a word if his arse was on fire. Just in the middle of the page. Which, okay, fair, fair. Yeah, because at that point, again, I don't know if it's referenced in the first book at all. Probably is, but there's mention in here that Mansour was sold to Byzantine monks as a kid. So, from what I know of castratos, his I forget what the title is, but I remember reading a book where that was the main focus years ago. And from the sounds of it, the average age that boys were taken seemed to be between like somewhere between 5 or 6 and like 9, if they have a really good soprano voice. Especially because at that point women weren't allowed to sing in the choirs. And yeah. And because they wanted to preserve the soprano, the kids were subjected to forced castration so that they wouldn't go through puberty and have their voice drop. So, when there's the phrase in here, Menser cultivated stoicism to the point of impassivity. His sale as a little boy to Byzantine monks who'd preserved the beauty of his treble singing voice by castration had taught him the futility of complaining. Like, just knowing everything that goes into that, just in that one tiny section, and from what I read in the other book, that one seems to be pretty on par and stuff. Especially if you're sold into, you have no autonomy at that point. You have no autonomy. Forced castration to preserve a high-pitched child's voice so that you can sing. And whole bunch of things that go on with that. And a lot of times being forced to sing hours a day, however often the trainers decide that you should. Singing in praise of your captor's god. Exactly. So, yeah. And then it's translating to, well, I mean, this is life, so like, if I complain about something, if I say anything about something, if I express any amount of individual emotion about what I'm currently dealing with, then it's either going to result in punishment or no one's going to pay attention anyway, so I might as well just bear with it because nothing good is going to come from saying anything. So, might as well. And then it translates to just getting used to things and not voicing anything if it happens. Which I'm glad that he's traveling with people who actually care about him at this point. And up to this point in the text, it's not said, like, how old he is, just that he's there as Adelia's bodyguard and friend and assistant and stuff. But I'm glad that he's got people actually looking out for him, though. Because, like, really. Yeah, no, I want to say it was one of Alice Brochardt's books, but that might be inaccurate. It might have been Anne Rice. I don't remember. But it was from the perspective of, I think an 8 or 9-year-old boy going through the process from the point that he was singing, someone heard him singing, and I don't know, they offered money to his family, I think. He was forcibly castrated and then was packed off to Rome in that story. So, like, from the sounds of it, that's pretty much what's happening here. Or what happened there. Yes, all of the hugs from Mensler. All of them. Deserves all of the fuzzies. So, yeah. And then you get into issues with abuse of power in the church and all of that seem to be kind of a rather consistent thing, at least in that iteration of the storyline. Notice that Castrati are missing from Blockbuster Fantasy Media. Yeah. Hashtag fragile masculinity. Exactly. Exactly. Oh, man. So, yeah, no, if I can find that, it was definitely an interesting read. I'll say that much. I don't remember if I finished it or not. I don't think I did. But it was... I want to say that particular story was set in, like, the 1500s, maybe? So, yeah. Yeah. Also, right, let's just they're traveling with the bishop, who's pretty chill. Like, he seems like he's a cool dude, alright? Or, yeah, Rolly seems like a cool dude. But, like, the servants of the church are just going ham with all the insults on, like, Adelia. Because she has a kid. And isn't married. Like, bruh. What? I realize, for the time, okay, y'all are assholes, but, like, also. Speaking of church abuse and abuse of power, don't think Henry should have been punished for some knights taking as frustrated hyperbole as an order. Right? Right? Like, just because the knights are being stupid and like, somebody kill this person! Like, guys. Hyperbole. Yes. It makes me, it really makes me wonder if sarcasm had been invented by this point, you know? Let us know if you figure out which book that was. Yeah, no, totally. Totally. I will say there, I don't remember how on page it is, but for that particular book, there is depiction of CSA against the main character. I think it's either against the main character or it's implied, but like by the adults in the story in the church. So you know that going in, if I manage to figure out which one it was. Yeah. Which also, Mensur needs all of the hugs, honestly. Ha. Anyway, moving on. Because, yeah. Honestly, with this. And Jacques just seems pretty cool, alright? Like, he's riding all over the place. Just being a great messenger guy and doing his best in the middle of a blizzard, and it's doing a whole thing. Okay. Out of curiosity here, what were you trying to post? Because it doesn't like it, I guess. If we'd had soup in our mouth, that would have made us laugh over the table. What was the funny though? It was a clip link of you on sarcasm. Yeah, exactly. Like, guys, I appreciate that you're taking orders literally and all that, because, the crown and all that, but, really, when I say, hey, somebody needs to kill this guy, what I mean is they're being really annoying. So, like, maybe chill. Just a little bit. Just. But no, now there's, the Bishop of Canterbury that's been dead. been deaded and is now canonized because awesome. Who was that anyway? Was that Aquinas? Like, I remember the name, but I can't remember which name it was at this point. Or where. Also, just, like, just another another note for, like, Githa and sort of way with words, right? We've got Rolly riding up in his full, like, bishop's attire and everything, and she's just looking at him like, oh, he's dressed like a Christmas beef, bless him. Honestly. Okay. Uh, um, come on, where is it? Where is it? There was a British History Museum display on the Beckett thing this past year. There we go. Yeah. Yeah. From what I remember, because being in Canterbury, Beckett was an interesting sort. Anyway. Yeah, Aquinas was very much different era. Ken's you on YouTube. Okay. There was a British History Museum display on the Beckett thing. I will check that out. But yeah, it's interesting, right? Like, there's this whole thing of, like, Rolly still really cares about and respects Atlanta, and Atlanta really still cares about and respects Rolly, but because, like, they're existing in different not realities, because then it's like a multiverse situation, but like such different components of society, then there's a whole bunch of other stuff happening, and it's interesting. Like, she's mad at him for not acknowledging their kid, but like also doesn't want him to because then it could hurt him and his reputation, and like because they're not married, but like she refused to marry him because she wouldn't be able to continue as a doctor and forensic pathologist at that point. And it's just interesting relationship dynamics. I'll say that. Yeah. And oh yeah. With the whole like Stephen and Matilda wars and wanting to avoid civil war because then things might happen again and whatnot. And at that point, the Stephen and Matilda wars would have only been like what 20 years previous. Because from the sounds of it, Adelia has only been in England for about a year. Because she came in to investigate the same instance that Rolly and Joffrey were investigating. So she's only been there for a short time. So there's other stuff that she's not entirely used to saying yet. But to just kind of underscore how the regular, like, I guess, servant class of people, the poorest of the community, would be impacted if there was a war to break out again. Just talking about how her dad was kind of conscripted, I suppose, to go build one of the castles. And, like, during that period. And never came back. And it took them 3 years before any word reached them because no one, bothered to actually inform the family that the familial patriarch was crushed under a rock in the middle of trying to help build this thing. And because the main earner of the family, because for the most part women couldn't work aside from being like midwives or like taking in washing for people and stuff. Because again, if you were an herbalist, even sometimes you were convicted of witchcraft, and that doesn't end well. So the family almost starved, and like just the complete lack of care, the lack of like awareness of what the general populace is going through, because at that point the majority of people would be going through that, like the higher classes and the affluent members of society, the wealthy who could stay in their homes and be behind protective walls with guards and whatever would more or less be fine. Like there might be rations or whatever and whatnot. But everybody else had to be very aware of who was in power, where, and when, and whether or not raiders would be coming through, and if like they would end up dead or abducted for unknown purposes, whether to be sold into slavery or absconded with for other nefarious reasons. So, yeah. Consequently, avoiding civil war is a very big thing. Just in general, but like in specific for the time period, you know. They've already dealt with Civil War shenanigans for like a good 13 years, and they don't want to do it again. Especially because it's very much still in living memory for the majority of the population. So, yeah. I do find it interesting too, because like it makes total sense, but this is the first instance that I've seen where the outrider for a party is called the Galloper. It makes sense because they're galloping off to relay a message, but like that's the first time that I've seen that as the phrase used. Unfortunately, warfare often meant starving the opposing army and poisoning their water, which meant doing that to the populace. Yeah, exactly. Which, if the... Yeah. Which is part of why the water supply was highly guarded in a lot of keeps, and why there's a lot of, well, maybe not a lot of, but there's a number of instances where a keep is in a particular location because, I mean, A, it's defensible, but B, because there's a natural water source. There's a well, or there's a spring or something that feeds a well within the grounds, so it's easily fortifiable. Problem is, if someone manages to figure out where upstream of that is and then drop something in, it goes bad real fast. And then requisitioning supplies from farmers, yeah, exactly. It's like... Which, incidentally, also, a lot of that in Merlin. Especially when Uther was in power. Because part of it was Uther, and part of it was like there's certain instances where he's been cursed to be even more of a dick than usual, which is kind of astounding that that's even a thing that managed to happen. Some of them are in episodes where it's like there's this mass hilarity of idiocy happening, and also this. But there's some where it's just like, no, this guy, we need this out of power. Like, yeah. Yeah, no, Uther, getting away from the, textual situation that we're dealing with. Like, Uther and Agravain, both. Wow. Just, nah. Because I will be king even if I have no subjects. Exactly. Like, you can be king of a hay patch if you want to, but like, hey, you can't be king of shit if nobody's gonna be there to deal with yourself, alright? Like, and if you're aggravating enough, you might get dead because, like, like in that situation where, like, the entirety of the magical community is trying to assassinate you. Including one of your kids. Yeah. Uh, just, okay. Alright, back to this, right? So, we know that, Rosamund was killed by perhaps death cap mushrooms. Maybe not, but perhaps death cap mushrooms. That's the going hypothesis. And that there's a young man who was presumably riding to the sort of priory. I want to say it's a priory. Nunnery. There we go. Riding to the nunnery and in the process was shot with a crossbow and then staged to look like he'd just fallen off his horse. So, like, it's very obvious that whoever killed him wanted him to be found. And there were crumbs left under a tree, indicating that someone was waiting for him to show. And we know from the prologue that that our assassin friend, where's it? Sicarius. Also, yeah, the poor horse. If you're gonna kill the guy, at least let the horse be, alright? Like, what's with all this killing the animals? Like, honestly, a hamstring is enough of an issue now. Like, that's a really, really, that's just uncalled for. Come on. Ah. Which, once again, right, I know it's the whole, like, I mean, the person might have deserved it, I don't know, but the animals, like, come on now. Like, it's the same thing of, like, I can watch stuff getting exploded and stuff, and people characters dying, but like if the animals are getting hurt, it's like nah, we're just nope, moving on. I don't know. Is it a wonder that I'm vegetarian? I don't know. But like we've got a situation, right, where Sicarius is being asked to do something in a very particular way. It's odd that it's that exacting, but the person who's giving the instructions is very obviously highly knowledgeable of the target's movements. So, like, alright, that's cool. I can take that into account, and we're gonna do that. Alright. He doesn't like to leave evidence, but it's requested in this particular juncture. So, okay. So, that taken into account with the fact that the mystery person behind the curtain is addressing his co-conspirator assistant slash guard dude as my son, and that's giving Zacharias an idea of what a mystery person's profession is. The working hypothesis, right, is that they're a high-ranking clergy member and want to send a message to somebody. So therefore, have hired a very adept assassin to make it look like someone was killed by two really inept people. So, like, that's what I'm thinking at the moment. At which point, if it's like, if the instruction was to make it look like he was killed by two people who have these attributes, then our resident assassin friend would probably be switching up the footwear and stuff. Yeah, he's up close, exactly. So, like, that's the hypothesis that we're working with here. Either that, or he was hired to try and kill Rosamund, and someone else is going after other people. So, like, yeah. Don't remember the whole plot anyway. Fair. So, like, I don't. Yeah, no, like, for the third Harper Hall book, like, I remember something that apparently doesn't exist as a storyline. There was one episode of Merlin that I remember very distinctly where they're going through, like, this ice cave thing. That's not a thing. Like, I don't... Was I dissociating through it? I have no idea. But also, was it a dream? I don't know. That's a mystery. But yeah. So yeah. I'm intrigued. I wanna read it. it's looking good so far. All right. I seriously want Zacharias and Glypha to just have a chat. So like, yeah, because the sass and the snark and the just general awesomeness that would result from that is amazing. Yeah. Also, right, Rolly was part of the just going off this, right? Clearly it should be a thing, obviously. Yeah. Yeah, rather enjoying it. Okay. I haven't read part 1, just read this. So, going off what I've read of part 2 here. Rolly was there when they were investigating the whole situation last year in some capacity. Even just as a tax collector, accountant guy. And it's been mentioned that Delia wasn't the main investigator for that situation. I realize. But, like, you've brought in somebody who's a forensic pathologist, basically, who is a medical examiner, who does a post-mortem observations and things. I realize that it's cold, it's in the middle of what's basically a blizzard and stuff right now, at that point, it stopped snowing, so, yeah. But, like, yeah, no, it's obvious what happened. Like, it's obvious. Like, he got shot, and then he died, and then he fell off his horse. And she's just sitting there like, dude, you really think that someone just laid out, just, like, perfectly straight and stuff, that's how he fell off his horse? Really? 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 This was staged? Like, uh... the massive side eye that I'm seeing for some of the characters in here from like our main trio, that's just like, yes, tell me again why this is so obviously very straightforward. Really, enlighten me. No, really, like, I want to know. I want to know what you're thinking, so that I can tell you why you're wrong. Oh. Like, oh, fine, yes, fine, I'll agree to whatever. If anyone's interested in the first book in the series, we shall trigger warn for child victims and anti-Semitism, which Adelia is there to counter. Okay, yeah. Yeah, no, yeah. Which, admittedly, from how it's looking, I'm more a fan of this one, not gonna lie, than child victims and anti-Semitism. Which, just from there's a little passage in here where it's talking about dealing with the aftermath of being a captive in that situation, and that was a lot. Really want to know what you're thinking so I can tell you why you're wrong. I mean, yes. Bestow upon me the wit and knowledge of your cerebral cortex so I can drag you. Like, is another way to say that. Admittedly. Oh, man. Alright. Have fun with the clipping. Alright. Oh, man. Salty monarch. I mean, am I wrong though? You know. Yes. Wait. You know, like how Twitch does like those weird link names and stuff? He called it Salty Monarch Rin, and the link is Honorable Stylish Monitor Swift Rage. So, like, for once it actually fits. Oh, man. Also, right? Also, I appreciate there's like 2 pages where Delia is going through, like, okay, this is the evidence. This is no. I know it's cold. Chill. Haha. This is the evidence that we're working with. This is what I'm saying happened in the snow. There you go. All right. And everyone's just like, but it's cold out here. We need to go inside. I don't want to be out here anymore. I want a fire. There's fire. Ah. Like, but like maybe they were disturbed in doing whatever they were doing. It's fine. Like, and, I mean, it makes sense that stuff was there. Like, who would have disturbed them? There's no one there. Like, we're the first ones to come up on all of this. You saw the tracks in the snow. It's fine. So then finally it's like, wait, they want him to be found. Exactly. Exactly. That's my point. That's what I've been trying to tell you. Finally. Oy. and because it's so imperative that, like, he's gotta be identified and found and whatever, that's why we need to hide him. Genius. Like, uh also, right, just the idea that, I know for the vast majority of history it's been the thing, but like the idea that um they happen to be at Godstow that has a region famous ice house, because like that's a rare thing. But like a root cellar or like a meat section thing is meat locker, I guess, would be a thing. But a ice house specifically is very distinctive. But yeah. And then there's the note that Rowling was prepared to, what was it? He was prepared to love the woman but not the doctor. And yet it was the doctor he invited along, and he must bear the consequences. So, yeah, there's that. Yeah, like, everyone's just like, it's so cold. And Adelia's like, yes, but science. You wanted the medical science person here? I'm doing my job, so... Ow. I bit my lip. Like, I'm doing my job, so y'all can just, like, calm down and let me do my job. Thanks. So, yeah. There's that. There's that. And then, just the express instruction that no one tells anybody about what they've found. By the way, this happens during the Little Ice Age, and it's one of the coldest winters in England on record. Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. I've forgotten when exactly that period was, but if it was during the Little Ice Age, then the cold and food stores would have been exceptionally of note, really. So yeah, the book is the reason we know that. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, no. Very cool. Yes. Yes. Like, admittedly, transition periods in history have always been a thing. But like, yeah. So, if that's the thing, that's a thing. Also, it would make sense that, where is it? That this is Ariadne, because that's what Rowley called, Adelia. And the whole, like, Theseus and the Minotaur and all of that sort of thing. So, right. Yeah. Very cool. Alright. So, that is about it for my observations for the first 3 chapters. Anything else that we want to have a chat about, or call it a day? Also, what do you think? Another 3 chapters for next week, or something else? So, how many chapters for next week? Yeah. Because if we're going through. If we're going through 6, another 3 chapters would be 100 pages. Which I could do. Just depends on what you guys want to do. Another, like, through 5, so if it's just 4 and 5, be about, like, 50, 60 pages. Yeah, about 60 pages. So, yeah. Depends on what y'all want to do. I'm good with either. I don't know what the audio equivalent would be on that one. But yeah. We asked you, you decide. uh, Fine. Um. Okay, let's aim for 6. So like to get through 6. So yeah. 6 would be a little over 3.25 hours audio. Okay, so if that would work for you, then we'll aim for that. If not, then I'm totally okay with just doing 5. So, yeah. Because at the end of the day, like, the discussion part of the book club is just as much fun as the reading the book part of the book club. So, like, I don't know. Also, do we want to do a raid in a couple minutes? Because we've got through 6 it is. Okay, that works. We've got Zane, Meg. Yeah, we've got Zane and Meg on right now. And Zove is doing Age of Empires. So, did I clicked the thing and I didn't mean to? Okay. All right. Yeah. So that being said, we've got the Serpent's Tail. There we go. The Serpent's Tail. And I realize that it's, already up here, but like, visual aids. So we've got the Serpent's Tail through chapter 6. That's this marker here. For next Monday. We're going to bed since we're done, but we can raid run. Yeah. Yeah, no. Definitely. Understandable on that one. So, how about let's go pop in on Zane. We haven't said hi to them as a raid for a bit. Ugh, come on. Alright, so temporary changing of mic stuff. Alright. Been more perky and solid, for lack of a better word, today. It was good to see. Yeah. Yeah. I've noticed that too, which. Awesome sauce. Indeed. Indeed. It's good for all around. That was a sentence. It was good all around. There we go. Ah, jeez. Alright. Here we go. So, Let's do read and there we go. There we go. Yeah, for once, the keyboard is actually behaving. So, there, yeah. Fun times. Thank you for hanging out and being awesome and just generally being super cool. Yeah, I look forward to further book chats and art things and what's its of that variety. And I will see y'all next time, whether it's next week for the next part of the book or Thursday for whatever we end up doing. Probably art stuff because that's where we've been mostly. So, have a good one. I will see you later. Bye now. Bye now, friends. Why is it not loading? Spinning on cities. Come on. Now, if I knew that it went through, then oh, come on. If I knew that it went through, then I could just, close out of OBS, but I don't because Twitch doesn't want to load right now. Because reasons. So, like, is it gonna work or not? Okay, we're good. We're clear.